I found a door that leads to a game show in my new apartment, but no one else can see it. Part 1. I can't believe I'm writing this down, let alone online. But no one else believes me. I'll start by saying I only moved into this apartment a week ago, and I never thought in a million years something this outlandish would happen, but here we are. It's just a simple 2-bedroom apartment in Tucson, Arizona. Only when I'm alone. My brother stayed with me the first night, and nothing weird happened. It wasn't until he left that this all started. At first, I thought it was the intense summer heat causing me to hallucinate. But that's not the case, since I have physical evidence now. It's a candy bar. Nothing special. Just a king-size Snickers, like the kind those wealthy neighborhoods would hand out during Halloween as a kid. I always begged my parents to take me to those houses, and I always left with my pillowcase nearly tugging me down to the pavement. I would later use that same surplus of king-size candies to barter with other classmates at school who had the best lunches. I was in no hurry to eat this candy bar. It sat on my kitchen table, unopened, as I mulled over all the ways I could be making this up. It was a prize from the game show in my pantry. At least, I think so. Maybe it was the move. Maybe I was overworked, or maybe it was something I ate. I'd been on a consistent diet of fast food, takeout, and microwavables for over a week now, until I was able to unpack my cookware and go grocery shopping. So, perhaps, I bought this without thinking, and the entire experience last night of my pantry leading to a bright, colorful game show was just a GMO sludge-induced dream. I would have happily continued to believe that until the music started again, and the glowing lights peeked from just underneath the pantry door. I tried to ignore it and finish unpacking a box of books when I heard a muffled, feminine voice call out to me from beyond the door. "Aaron, your fate calls out as you are the next contestant on Risk or Reward." An invisible audience cried out the name of the game show, but last night there was no audience. I entered through the pantry door into a black box theater where there were empty seats behind me. Massive letters hung above a red and gold podium, spelling the name of the show in round, incandescent bulbs. Behind the podium stood a tall, slender, and angelic-looking woman dressed in a dazzling, green-sequined pantsuit that glinted under the stage lights. She smiled wide, holding a microphone close to her ruby lips with her sharp, freshly manicured nails. They were painted black, save for the tips that were as red as her lips, and looked as though they were dipped in blood. Behind the host were thick red curtains, and in front of me was a clear podium with a second mic attached to the top of it. That was all. No speakers where the sounds could be coming out of. No audience members. No crew to help run the show. No camera to record or televise it. It made no sense what this place was. Who was this game show host, and why was she in my pantry? She gestured to the clear podium and called to me again. Aaron, come on down. It's your turn to try your luck on risk or reward. She cheerfully beckoned, followed by the unseen audience. The room grew silent, then so silent I could have heard my sweat droplets hit the floor. I slowly approached my podium and leaned into the mic. Hello, Aaron. Thank you for joining us on our glamorous show. Now, seeing as this is your first time on the show, I'll make it simple. On my command, the curtains will open and a request will be shown on the screen. You can either answer the request and take your reward, or take your current winnings, but accept ARISK. The choice is yours. The host's smile only brightened as she motioned toward the curtain and then the exit back to my apartment. Well, since I don't have any winnings, I guess I'll see what's behind the curtain. Why are you? I shrugged. Perfect, she cut me off. You heard him. Lovelies, draw that curtain. She commanded, and the curtain let out a rolling hiss as it revealed a wall made up of high-end old screens. Displayed on the screen, wavy words that spelled out a simple question. Aaron, your first request is easy. State your favorite color. I wish I was you right now. The host read off the screen, and her emerald eyes glinted with excitement, but could be mistaken for hunger. No, that wasn't it. Purple, I muttered. Alarms and bells went off. Flashes of multicolored light circled all around the theater. Congratulations, Aaron. Your reward, EEs. Just then, a hole in the floor opened, revealing a rising pillar. The white marble pillar stopped at waist height in the center of the theater, between me and the host. Atop the pillar sat a single king-size Snickers bar, a delicious snack. Go on and take your prize. I scratched my head, walked over to the pillar, and picked up the candy. I examined it for any irregularities, but saw none. Thanks. I looked back at the host and raised an eyebrow. Any time. Thanks for playing, Aaron. Come back again soon for another thrilling round. Foof. Risk or reward. She called out again, and with a loud thunk, the lights in the theater went out, leaving me in complete darkness. I jumped and bumped my head on something light and hollow. I reached above me and felt a string of metal beads. I pulled and was nearly blinded by a single bulb lighting up the square foot of space I was now in. As I blinked and regained my vision, I stared at a can of refried beans on a shelf. I was back in my pantry. That was last night, and I have to admit that I'm incredibly curious to see what the request is this time. If they continue to be this easy, who knows what kind of reward awaits me. But a small voice in the back of my mind keeps nagging me. This isn't possible, and it's too good to be true. Part 2. I did it. At first, I wanted to ignore it and resist my temptations, which I did for at least 24 hours. But my curiosity overwhelmed me. Please, don't judge me. For all I know, this could be my Narnia moment where I get to embark into some fantastic fantasy world and become a hero. It certainly would be better than working my lobotomizing office job. I'm only 25, so I'd say I'm due for some adventure. It's not like Tuscan has much adventure to offer. Unless you like cacti and old western towns, I have more evidence. It's a bottle of wine. Red, I think. The label says it's a Merlot. I don't drink wine very often. I'm partial to lighter beers or hard ciders. But the bottle looks nicer than something you'd get at any hole-in-the-wall liquor store. The label is nothing I've ever seen or can even find online. It's called Laughing Mantis and has notes of cherries, pine, and lilac. I suppose I'll save it for when I bring a date over, but knowing my luck, it'll just be another ghosting fuckboy. That's what I get for using the hookup apps. When I first ignored the game show's call, it went on for hours. The host would call out every 60 seconds on the dot. I counted. I ordered a pizza and played loud music while I continued to unpack. There was a pounding on the front door a bit later. I paused my music and my stomach growled as I smelled fresh hot cheese through the door. I opened it to see a delivery girl standing there with my dinner. It wasn't until I had my pizza in hand and closed the door that I noticed the lights and music from the pantry ceased. The rest of the night was normal. I gamed with some friends online, went to bed, and then woke up for work the next day. I thought I was in the clear when I went to bed again. I thought that it really was a stress-induced episode when suddenly I was awoken by the host's call at exactly midnight. Aaron, come on down. Your next request awaits you. The host's muffled voice shouted from just beyond the pantry door. Ugh, fuck. Seriously. All right, fine. One more time won't hurt. I groaned and slothed out of bed. I opened the pantry door, blinking hard at the harsh spotlights that immediately turned their gaze on me. I could only make out the silhouette of the host until I reached my clear podium once again. A cacophony of fanfare and an explosion of confetti rained down on me. I flinched and covered my face from the endless specks of multicolored plastic. Jesus, I'm still half asleep. What was all that? A crypt. The audience and I are just so pleased to have you back on RISK. Or reward. The host let out a boisterous, high-pitched laugh before doing her usual audience calling card. There was still no audience behind me. This place seriously made no sense. Now, Aaron, seeing as we're taking up precious sleep hours from you, I'll make this quick. What is your choice? The host grinned wider than before. It was almost inhuman how her lips stretched toward her ears. Reward. Let's keep the party going. I shrugged. Excellent choice. Reveal what Aaron's request will be this evening. The host commanded, and the curtains were drawn once again to reveal a request displayed on the large screens. Tell us about a time you committed a crime but never got caught. Oh, how juicy is that request? The host read aloud and cheerfully looked at me as if with anticipation for my answer. What, that's right. I stumbled over my thoughts as I recalled something from my childhood. It was an accident, but when I was 14, I was at the park with a friend. His name was Jordan. He was pressuring me into smoking a cigarette with him, but as soon as I tasted it, I tossed it away. That was his only cigarette that he'd stolen from his dad, and I remember him being mad about it, but we just laughed it off in the end. But this park had plenty of trees and dry brush around, and it wasn't until we saw the smoke rising up from the tree line that I realized what I'd done. As soon as we heard the sirens coming in the distance, we cut and ran back home as fast as we could. We promised to never talk about it to anyone. So, why am I telling you now? The story flowed out of me like I'd told it 1,000,000 times over, but I'd never told that story until now. I barely even remembered it. Oh, I see. Things seemed to have heated up for little Aaron, so he ran and hid. Like a scared caterpillar, the host's voice shifted from bubbly to dark. I was uneased by her sudden drop in character, but it only lasted a moment. But what comes next is nothing to fear. Your reward is here, she called, and the floor opened again, revealing an ornate bottle of wine. As soon as I picked it up, the host did her closing farewell, the same as before, and everything went dark. I reached for the light string and pulled. The pantry, with all its cans and boxes of food, greeted me. What even was all that? Did that actually happen back then? I sighed and clutched the wine bottle in my hand. Real again, like I said, so here we are. I'd say you're all caught up, but there's one more thing. I managed to find Jordan online, and I asked him if I could call him to talk about our childhood. He agreed, though his messages came off as untrusting. We talked, and he confirmed what I'd told the game show host. We really did set fire to a forest. But since it was when we were 14, the statute of limitations says we're in the clear. That was a huge relief to find out. Not that I was worried. No one knew, anyway. Well, except the host, and now all of you. You know what? Screw it. I'm eating that candy bar tonight and popping open that bottle of wine. They are my rewards, and I earned them. I should enjoy them. I think I need to take at least several more showers, though. I keep finding confetti and glitter on my body. I'll update you all when I have more news, but I think I'm definitely going back to play again.